At exactly 4:47 a.m., a column of BTR-82A armored personnel carriers rolled eastward along Highway M14, their diesel engines rumbling through the pre-dawn darkness just 8 miles west of Mariupol. Inside the lead vehicles sat soldiers from Russia's 810th Naval Infantry Brigade. These weren't conscripts. The 810th was Russia's most decorated marine unit, veterans of Syria and Crimea, equipped with over $180 million worth of hardware and trained for amphibious assaults on fortified positions. Behind them, 7 more BTR-82As followed in precise 150-meter intervals, carrying a full company of 200 combat troops, supported by 2 MTLB command vehicles and a Tor M2 short-range air defense system, valued at $25 million. The convoy commander checked his digital map display, showing their destination, a Ukrainian strongpoint 12 kilometers ahead that intelligence claimed was lightly defended. What he couldn't see was the thermal signature of 14 Ukrainian soldiers dug into the tree line 600 meters north, each one possessing a weapon that would rewrite the tactical playbook for ambush warfare. The Ukrainians had been in position for 41 hours. Their commander, a 32-year-old former school teacher, now leading a mechanized warfare unit, had received intelligence 72 hours earlier that the 810th would use this exact route. The source was impeccable. Intercepted Russian communications had revealed not just the route, but the timing, the unit composition, and critically, a fatal gap in their defensive posture. The Tor M2 system, traveling with the convoy, could engage targets up to 15 kilometers away and track 48 threats simultaneously. But it had one weakness that Ukrainian intelligence had studied obsessively. Its radar system required 90 seconds to achieve full operational capability after the vehicle stopped moving, and its engagement envelope had a dead zone for targets approaching from low angles within 1,200 meters. The Ukrainians had chosen their ambush site with surgical precision, a slight depression in the terrain that would mask their thermal signatures, combined with a natural tree corridor that funneled the convoy into a 400-meter kill zone with no rapid exit options. Each Ukrainian soldier carried a weapon that cost exactly $1,850. The RPG-7V2 is a 70-year-old design that has destroyed more armored vehicles than any weapon system in modern warfare. But these weren't standard rounds. Each launcher was loaded with PG-7VR tandem warhead rockets, specifically engineered to defeat the Contact 5 explosive reactive armor installed on the BTR-82A. The PG-7VR uses a 2-stage detonation, a precursor charge to trigger and neutralize the reactive armor, followed less than a second later by a main-shaped charge that produces a 6,900-degree Fahrenheit copper jet, penetrating 23 inches of steel armor. Effective range, 200 meters. Probability of catastrophic kill against a BTR-82A's side armor, 94%. The Ukrainians had also positioned 4 soldiers with NLAW anti-tank guided missiles, each costing $40,000 and capable of top attack profiles that would strike the vehicle's thinnest armor. But the real innovation was tactical, not technological. The convoy entered the kill zone at 4:52 a.m. The lead BTR-82A passed the first marker, a damaged kilometer sign the Ukrainians had spray-painted 3 days earlier. 500 meters. The second vehicle followed. 400 meters. The commander's voice crackled over the radio net, confirming visual contact with all units. 300 meters. The Tor M2 air defense vehicle, positioned 4th in the column, its radar dish rotating slowly, searching for aerial threats that weren't coming. 200 meters. The Ukrainian commander raised his fist. 14 soldiers shifted their aim points, targeting not the lead vehicles, but the 4th, 5th, and 6th BTR-82As simultaneously. The tactical logic was ruthless. Strike the middle of the convoy, cut it in half, trap the forward elements away from the air defense system, and force the rear vehicles into a defensive position that would take precious seconds to organize. The first salvo fired at 4:53 a.m. 14 RPG-7V2 rounds launched simultaneously with a distinctive whoosh that echoed across the valley. The rockets, traveling at 985 feet per second, covered 200 meters in 0.6 seconds. The BTR-82A crews had no warning. The first indication of attack was the sound of precursor charges detonating against their reactive armor with sharp metallic cracks, followed instantly by the main warheads punching through side armor and detonating inside crew compartments. The fourth vehicle erupted in flames as its ammunition store cooked off, sending 30mm autocannon rounds rattling through the interior like firecrackers. The fifth BTR took 3 simultaneous hits, its fuel tanks igniting and creating a fireball that rose 60 feet into the morning sky. The sixth vehicle struck in the engine compartment, lurched violently to the right, and rolled into a drainage ditch, trapping the Marines inside. The convoy, once a disciplined military formation, was now 3 separate groups of confused and isolated vehicles. The lead 3 BTR-82As, their commanders hearing the explosions behind them, executed their training perfectly, accelerating forward to escape the kill zone while their turret gunners traversed left, searching for targets. But the Ukrainian commander had anticipated this. As the lead vehicles surged forward, they triggered the second phase of the ambush. 4 NLAW missiles launched from concealed positions 400 meters ahead, their infrared seekers locked onto engine heat signatures. The NLAW uses a predicted line-of-sight guidance system, meaning the operator simply keeps the sight on target for 3 seconds, and the missile's computer calculates the target's movement and adjusts the flight path accordingly. All 4 missiles struck within 3 seconds of each other. The lead BTR's turret separated from its hull and cartwheeled 30 meters down the road. The second vehicle's reactive armor defeated 1 missile, but a second NLAW struck its rear hatch, destroying the vehicle instantly. The third vehicle veered off the road and crashed into a concrete barrier at 35 miles per hour. The TOR-M2 air defense system finally achieved operational capability at 4:55 a.m., exactly 97 seconds after the first attack, but it was scanning the wrong direction. Its radar was oriented upward, searching for the drones and cruise missiles that Russians had predicted. The Ukrainian ambush was coming from ground level, from weapons with no radar signature, fired by soldiers lying in mud 600 meters away. The TOR-M2's crew, trained to engage airborne threats, found themselves in a ground combat scenario their $25 million system was never designed to handle. The vehicle's commander made a decision that sealed the convoy's fate. He ordered the TOR-M2 to retreat, backing away from the kill zone to preserve the air defense asset. The movement took 12 seconds. In that time, the TOR-M2 left the remaining BTR-82As without any covering fire and exposed its own rear armor to Ukrainian observation. The rear elements of the convoy, 3 BTR-82As and both MTLB command vehicles, were now completely alone. Their commanders faced an impossible choice: advance through the burning wrecks blocking the road, retreat back the way they came, or deploy their troops and attempt an assault on the Ukrainian positions. They chose the third option. It was catastrophic. As 78 Marines dismounted from their vehicles, dropping their rear hatches and pouring out into the road, the Ukrainians initiated Phase 3. Pre-positioned 82mm mortar teams, located 2.1 kilometers behind the tree line, had been plotting firing solutions for this exact scenario. The first mortar rounds, high-explosive fragmentation shells weighing 7.5 pounds each, left their tubes at a 45-degree angle and arced through the morning sky. Time of flight, 18 seconds. The Marines, trained infantry, immediately recognized the distinctive whistling sound and began sprinting toward any available cover. But on a flat highway with burning vehicles on both sides, there was nowhere to go. The mortar barrage lasted 4 minutes and consumed 64 rounds. Each shell burst created a lethal fragmentation radius of 65 feet, sending jagged metal shards traveling at 4,000 feet per second through any exposed flesh. The Marines, caught in the open with no time to dig in, suffered 70% casualties in the first minute. Some survivors crawled beneath their BTR-82As, using the vehicles as shelter, but this made them immobile targets for the Ukrainian RPG teams, who methodically destroyed each stationary vehicle from their concealed positions. The 2 MTLB command vehicles, lighter armored and designed for communication rather than combat, were penetrated easily by even the older PG-7VM warheads. By 4:59 a.m., exactly 6 minutes after the ambush began, the entire convoy had been neutralized. The BTR-82As that hadn't been destroyed were abandoned. The Marines who could still walk retreated on foot, leaving behind 47 dead, 89 wounded, and over $40 million in destroyed equipment. The Ukrainians, who had fired approximately $180,000 worth of ammunition, suffered 0 casualties. The ambush demonstrated a principle that's reshaping modern warfare. In an environment saturated with intelligence and precision weapons, even the most elite units become vulnerable when their movement is predictable and their doctrine is understood. The 810th Naval Infantry Brigade, once considered Russia's premier ground combat force, had been shattered by a unit of Ukrainian territorials using 70-year-old weapons and tactics lifted directly from Chechen playbooks during the First Battle of Grozny. In the days following the ambush, Ukrainian forces documented 11 similar convoy attacks along Russian supply routes, each one following the same tactical pattern: intelligence-driven positioning, strike the middle to create chaos, exploitation of Russian air defense doctrine's vulnerability to ground attacks, and immediate withdrawal before Russian artillery could respond. The lesson was clear. In modern warfare, the most expensive military hardware means nothing if your opponent knows exactly where you'll be and exactly when you'll arrive. The 810th Marines learned this at 4:53 a.m. on a highway outside Mariupol. And by the time the day was done, the burning vehicles were already being studied by military analysts across the world, rewriting the textbooks on convoy security in contested environments.